Okay, we are live according to the screen, and I don't have the chat window up, so I'll just have to get that happening and see who's here, who are the prompt and early arrivers. I'm going to adjust this a little bit. I think who's here? Fox of Fate, Luke, Dr. Obama, Belinda, Proper Wolfie. Hello, everybody. I'll just do the pop out chat so I can have it next to my Hangout window. Just do a little bit of resizing and change it from top chat to live chat so I don't miss anything. Why it doesn't pick up that preference, I don't know. Now, where's my framing here? Because Mimsy's in here, so I'll move a little bit. Yes, you can come up and say hello to your fans, Mimsy. There you go. Yes. Yes, you can come and say hello. Hey, Charlie and Mega Leech and Neon. Oh, Neon, you're going for a brick. Is that what brick means? You're going for a brick for your anti-fascist weapon. I just think it's fun since little Tommy had 2 milkshakes thrown at him within a couple of days. You can now make the fash really nervous just by having a strawberry milkshake with you. Rad Scorpion, hello. Yes, Mimsy loves her fans. Oops, that's, yeah, okay, yeah. She headbutts me and says, scratch me some more. Okay, okay, you're so pushy. You're so pushy. She loves the attention. All right, I didn't have my windows properly arranged there, Mimsy. I just got to adjust a couple things. I hope you'll bear with me while for a brief moment you're not the center of the world. Belinda, I didn't watch Q&A because I never watch Q&A because it usually enrages me so much. But I did hear Bill Shorten did really well, was unpolitician, gave direct answers and answered everything. And fucking Morrison won't go on at the big wuss. Oh, yes. Someone threw an egg at Scummo and it bounced off his bonce. You look, how did Egg Boy get Fraser Anning? He didn't. You don't throw the egg if you're going to egg someone. You hold it in your hand and crack it on their head. That's how you're sure it breaks on their head. And it's a nice non-violent protest that humiliates someone. And I get really fucking annoyed with people who want to act like it's somehow violent. Particularly, I don't know, if you happen to direct it against someone who is an active advocate and enabler of violence. You know, in Scummo's case, you know, maybe someone who's running torture detention camps for refugees and asylum seekers. And look at her rubbing her head against me. Hello. Hello. Oh my God, she's so pushy, so desperate for attention, aren't you? Yes. Yeah, I mean, fucking, but okay, not only did Scummo call Egg Girl a coward, he just went on this thing about, oh, it's exactly the same as union thugs standing over people, and it's like, fuck you, you fucking vapid piece of shit. He's, oh my God, he's such a fucking piece of shit. And the fucking conservative media who have just been lying about everything, insisting, oh, Labour's big tax grab. The one that really gets me is the retiree tax, and it isn't a tax at all. It's simply getting rid of some ridiculous vote buying bullshit John Howard introduced that has squandered billions of dollars by giving it to some of the wealthiest people in the country. Like he's given billions of dollars away to the people who least need it. It's slightly complicated. You've probably heard about it, you know, and there's more franking credits. It's basically okay. What is possible? Like people who own shares get dividends if the company does well. If the shares do well, they get a share of profits called dividends. Okay, and there had been a thing where you know, people were taxed on those dividends. And at one point, and this is not just in Australia, but people went, well, hang on, that's based on company profits. And if that company's already paid tax, then taxing someone who receives dividends based on their after-tax profits, that money's being taxed twice. And that's not fair. And that's a little bit of a stretch, but that's the basis. And that is quite a few places around the world that do that. They go, well, we're not going to tax those franked dividends. That means dividends on money that's already had tax paid on. And then Howard bizarrely expanded it, and I'm pretty sure he's the only person in the world, so Australia's the only place in the world where this happens, where they've gone like, we're not going to charge these people any tax on these dividends, even when tax hasn't already been paid on them. So basically, it's like they call it a tax refund, but the person never paid that tax. So they're giving these people thousands of dollars for no reason whatsoever. And you get this incredibly dubious line where the fucking Tories go like, oh, people being hit by this, they're, you know, they only had $30,000 taxable income, which is as close as you can get to telling a direct lie without telling a direct lie. It's deceitful. It's incredibly dishonest, because what they're relying on, being able to say they're not lying, is an incredibly narrow definition of taxable income. It's not their income. It's like, hey, that person, after all the deductions and whatnot they get for being a retiree, they've got, you know, this $30,000 additional income that's taxable. But it's pretending the people affected by this thing, to be affected by it, you have to have over $1 million in non-taxed assets. It's like the biggest pile of bullshit, basically. Bobo, waiting to see how many LNP front benches listed. There's, like I said, there's a couple that I have special drinks set aside for on election night. You know, Tony Abbott, who else? Josh Frydenberg. These are not people who will necessarily lose their seat, but might lose their seat. But there's a few that are worth having a drink for. Justin, I did not hear about Abbott's $100 bet on climate change. What was that? Luke, the famous Montague Street Bridge in Melbourne. There is only one reason these days. I mean, really, there was only ever one reason people hit it. It's because they're a fucking idiot. But now with the warning things, there's only one reason someone hits the Montague Street Bridge. They're a colossal fucking idiot. Oh yeah, Dr. Bremer saying if you lose the franking credits, you have to downsize your luxury yacht. That guy they had on one of the commercial channels was literally complaining about it from the deck of his yacht. It was wild. He made a bet with a woman that climate change, the climate won't change in 10 years. First, he's a lying shit weasel, and he's an utter fucking cunt. The climate has changed in the last 10 years. It will get worse in the next 10 years, but he's the sort of lying fucking shit weasel who will say, no, it hasn't changed, it's always been like this, you're fudging the data. And besides which, the serious warnings about climate change aren't what happens in the next 10 years. The serious warnings are catastrophic change in the next 100 years that will render human civilization unsustainable. So, I mean, double-pronged, saying 10 years, he's a fucking cunt. No one's saying we'll see catastrophic change in 10 years. But we will say change. We will see change. And Abbott will just lie and say, oh, no, that's not enough change. But, you know, he's a fucking piece of shit. Evening, Miss Foxification. How are you? Dr. Obama, you're 59% positive Labor will win. I'm probably 80% likely. Because, as I said before, I mean, okay, your faith may get shaken by the way media in this company are pretending it's even Stevens. It absolutely isn't. As I've said before, for the coalition to retain government, basically 6 quite unlikely things will all have to happen. And it's like the difficulty of that goes up exponentially. It's like it is actually more likely than the coalition retaining government is Labor fucking slaughtering them, like a slaughter of historic proportions. I don't think that will happen, but that is more likely than the coalition retaining government. They could retain government. It's not impossible. It's just very, very unlikely. And like a whole succession of unlikely things would all have to go in the government's favor for them to retain government. Justin, do I think moderate independents should form their own party? If we have learned nothing else over the last 20 years, we should have learned it's very hard to form a political party. The Democrats sort of held together for quite a while, for about 20 years, but then the wheels came off and infighting tore them apart, and they had never been a particularly significant force in Australian politics. Now, the Greens are on the rise, but the Greens are tearing themselves apart. They won't necessarily go under completely, but the Greens have a lot of problems with infighting, and they're probably a considerable risk. I mean, the ones who really can't do it are the extremists. We've seen it again and again. One nation keeps imploding. You get a bunch of people together who are extremists and fruitcakes, and they hate each other as much as they hate anyone else, and they implode. One nation's done it multiple times, they'll do it again. Clive Palmer, his United Palmer Party, and he had some success, but then fucking everyone walked away from him because he's such a fucking idiot. You know, Bob Katter's had the same problems. It's basically these extreme conservative fringe groups can't maintain because they're attracting extremists and they don't get on, and they're horrible people. And it's not just us who oppose them who think they're horrible. They look at each other and they hate each other. Yeah, probable for UKIP, which has had its moments in the UK, seems to be going bad. They did really badly in that, was it municipal elections that just happened in England. Like the Tories got a pasting, and Labor got a bit of a slap. I think the Lib Dems did quite well, and a bunch of independents did quite well, and UKIP did really badly. But yes. Oh yeah, Justin, I did see the John Oliver taking the piss out of Clive Palmer. That was pretty funny. It's like when someone's fucked enough to make international news. But yeah, so, you know, the Greens might hold it together. They might not. The right-wing extremists are not going to hold it together. Look, one of the reasons, I think for the good of the Conservative parties, for the good of the Liberal Party, they need to cop a fucking shellacking in this election, because their bullshit of pandering to the extreme right is not sustainable. It's like they're doing everything to pander to like 20-30% of the electorate. You can't win an election by pandering to 20-30% of your base just because they're really fucking loud. They need to understand they're on the wrong track, and one way to send that message to them is electorally, so they pull their fucking head in. Because if Labor gets into power and they don't have a decent opposition, but if Labor get into power and like they smash the Liberals, and then the Liberals are a really fucking useless opposition, and you know, Labor win a succession of elections because the Libs are useless, that's ultimately not good, because Labor will get lazy and complacent and self-indulgent and corrupt. That's just what happens in politics. Without a strong opposition to keep you honest, you tend to lose your way. So yeah, they need to fucking get up. Okay, you want to go egg and milkshake. You're going omelette at that point if you're hitting someone with an egg and a milkshake. Is that Keiko? Oh yeah, that sounds like typical for the media. I looked at the numbers. The Tories did super bad, and Labor did not do great. And to say that, yeah, Tories and Labor did equally bad is horseshit. Proportionally, UKIP did the worst, and the Lib Dems seem to do very well. Dr. Obama, I kind of agree. You're saying an unpopular opinion. You have some respect for Bob Katter because he saw the Nats weren't doing enough for farmers and therefore left the party. Look, I'll say a positive thing about Bob Katter. He seems genuinely committed to who he thinks is in his electorate. It's just that he goes off his trolley occasionally. He says stuff and does stuff that makes him look like he's lost his capacity for rational thought. Taryn, what logical argument is needed against a fucking Nazi, you cockwomble? They're Nazi fucking filth, okay? It's as fucking simple as that. That's the logical argument against Nazis. They're fucking filth and they have to be gotten rid of. What sort of worthless, shit-eating, fucking fascist apologist goes, you've got to be logical with the Nazis? No, you've got to stamp them the fuck out. They've got to get a fucking logic of a pair of boots on their fucking throat. I wasn't talking about Scott Morrison, cockhead. I was talking about Fraser fucking Anning and little Tommy. You know, while I'm laughing at someone trying to egg Scott Morrison, is not something I think is particularly called for in his case. he's a piece of shit, and hopefully he's going to pay really fucking fiercely at the election. Yeah, Tendo, we're talking about milkshake brings all Tommies to the yard. I love it. I'm going to do. Oh, and this is a slightly lesser known one. There's a guy in Australia who's come up with this concept he calls yard, which is yelling at racist dogs. It's when we kept getting all these extreme right pieces of shit doing their money grabbing tours of Australia. They go, okay, they can do it. They go, I'm not going to try and disrupt the thing. We're just going to stand outside their event and yell at them, because this is free speech. This is open discourse and free exchange of ideas. And our idea is, you're racist dogs and we're going to yell at you. And it's started to get a hold of people's images, and particularly the fucking pieces of shit on the extreme right have come to know Yard, and they're scared of Yard. And so much like after little Tommy getting 2 milkshakes on him in 1 week, you can now freak the fash out by just, when they're having one of those things, just stand there with a milkshake. And I saw some video of one guy freaking out and saying he was going to punch someone in the head. The person was just standing there with the milkshake. So you can freak them out just by having a milkshake. My mate Sean, old-time YouTuber who goes by the name of Sean Bedlam, he showed up to this recent fucking racist shitbag thing, and he wasn't even doing anything. He was just wearing a Yard t-shirt, and this fucking fash with a megaphone recognized the shirt, and he got all freaked out and got really fucking antsy when Sean wasn't doing anything, but he was wearing a Yard t-shirt. So I'm thinking Yard t-shirt and a milkshake, and just standing there and watch them freak out. That'll be it. Was it Jordan Peterson? Okay, I agree with you. That's a good description of Peterson. Funny, scared old man. It's so weird that there was, for a briefest period, he fooled people into thinking that he was an intellectual. And like, his writing is bad and his arguments are bad, really bad. And it's just like, he's a charlatan, essentially. He's seen an opportunity to get notoriety and make money, and he's going for it. So, but like, his writing's just bad and his arguments are bad. And there was that recent, debate with, I don't even know who the other guy is, Zizek or whatever his name was, Euro trash socialist, and it became clear, because Peterson keeps going cultural Marxism, but he's clearly either not read Marxist writings at all, or has read it and it's gone over his head and he just really doesn't understand it. Like, he really did make himself look quite stupid. That's it, Charlie. Bring the milkshakes to the yard. I think I'll do that. I'll buy a Yard shirt and just show up at the next fucking right-wing bullshit and not even say anything. Just stand there in a Yard shirt holding a milkshake. Don't you want me to see Ben Shapiro get destroyed by cancer? I don't want to give Ben Shapiro any credibility, because he's pathetic. Okay, he makes Jordan Peterson look good. He's just terrible. He just lies and speaks in platitude, and particularly when he does this bullshit about facts don't care about your feelings. But none of these arguments are factual. They're all emotional opinion. It's really weird. Mitchell, when are you going to live happy where everyone accepts everyone? Well, given that that has never happened in the history of human existence, I'm not holding my breath. Farron, Sam Harris. I know the name. I am not overly familiar with who or what they are. I believe, do you think Tony Jones tried to destroy? I fucking hate Tony Jones. He's one of two reasons I won't watch Q&A is Tony Jones is a fucking narcissistic prick. And the second is they deliberately put complete fucking assholes on the planet just because they know they'll say something controversial and, you know, generate agitated responses and get people talking about them. And it's like there's no credibility in Q&A. They give platforms to thoroughly horrible people because they just want notoriety. And also Tony Jones is a fucking prick. So no inch. And yeah, the two combined makes me want to punch my screen so I don't watch it. Justin, I get your joke. I should watch Sky on election night to see how upset they get at losing, but I hate them so much. I would also, even while wanting to gloat at them over losing, they will say shit that will enrage me so much I'll want to punch my screen, and I shouldn't punch my screen. So I probably won't. I like the idea. I do like the idea. But even in defeat, they'll say such stupid shit that I want to put a fist through the screen. So, I mean, I've already recorded my Wanga Fat Wednesday video talking about Sky News, and Andrew Bolt had a whine that voters are shit. He's going, it's all voters' fault that things are wrong. It's like, yeah, good view of democracy, mate. Farron, who's good leftist YouTube? Well, Kev, who's here in the stream, does really well researched takedowns of the more obnoxious bleaters on the right. Kevin Logan is worth checking out. Yeah, Charlie's said one, non-compete. ContraPoints does really good researched videos with really high production videos. Look, anyone who thinks there's some good leftist content on YouTube, feel free to shout them out. Philosophy Tube, oh yeah, H Bomber Guy, yes. These are people that I'm not that familiar with. I should be sort of part of the community, and I'm not. Proper Wolfie, Bad Empanada, Aussie, okay. I used to, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, I was very good at being, you know, community person on YouTube. And I don't know, one thing and another, I don't know if I just got old and grumpy and I didn't do it. I should do it more. Mitchell, Rod Cullerton. Again, I don't know exactly who that is. The name sounds familiar. Oh, that's the thing I've heard talked about, BreadTube. And I know that's like a left-wing collective, but I don't know details about that. But yes. Bury, the Majority Report with Sam Sater. I've watched bits. You know, you see all those related things on YouTube and you see they're talking about something. Sam Sater seems to have his head on. Yeah, Steve Shives, that's another one I've watched and interacted with a little bit. Dr. Obama Friendly Geordie is weird. He's not social left, but he's very pro-labor, pro-union, anti-corporate exploitation. I get the feeling he doesn't have a lot of time for the social issues that are regarded. And particularly, I think he'd probably not react well to the term intersectional politics. But again, if someone knows him better and wants to correct me, go for it. I don't know him well enough to say that conclusively, but that's the impression I get. Oh yeah, the Surfs. And the Surfs got a bit of profile recently because their channel got briefly taken down because of mass fake reporting by right-wingers. Was it Tendo? Navarro Media lady said, "I'm a communist" to peers live on TV. Oh my God. He is such a sad... I mean, this is the thing. The fucking oxymoron of modern right-wing intellectuals. As much as I'm ragging on Jordan Peterson, he's not as bad as most of them. He does do it though. The thing with basically lying, basically really severe straw manning, and saying the left will fail because they blah blah blah. And people on the left go, "No, we don't. I don't think that at all. I don't think that at all. What's wrong with you?" Farron, I will go out on a limb here and say there's no such thing as unbiased content. Hey, Justin, this is in fact a stream. I automatically distrust anyone who says they're unbiased because they're lying or they're so profoundly ignorant about the world at large, they're unconscious of the degree of their bias. But people outside of them can see their bias. And also, you know, the both sides types, where people, you know, you take that to the point where it's like you've got Trump saying with the actual Nazi rally in Charlottesville, oh, there were very fine people on both sides. No, one side was Nazis and the other side was opposed to Nazis. So I think anyone who claims to be unbiased is so locked in their own little bubble. They're one of two things. They're either so locked in their own little bubble that they can't see how biased they are, or they're straight up lying. They're trying to say, I have the moral high ground because I'm unbiased. And they know they're not unbiased and they're lying. And what does the right wingers always call it? Virtue signaling. Virtue signaling, as opposed to vice signaling, I guess. Yeah, Justin, I like that equation. People say, I'm anti-Antifa, and go, well, Antifa is literally anti-fascist. So if you are anti-fascist, the two antis cancel each other out and you're just a fascist. Or at best, a sympathizer, fucking bootlicker. Yes, Tendai, they want to be Obi-Wan on the high ground. Well, see, Farron, I think the thing is you need to be honest about your bias. And I'm always honest about being shamelessly biased. I'll be very clear on things that I think are important and good, and I'll be very clear on things I think are shit. And I'm not going to pussyfoot around either of them. As simple as that. Keiko, you raise a good point. The people who say, you're virtue signaling as if they're achieving something by their own definition, they're virtue signaling by calling. So it's a ridiculous, pointless thing. Well, Dr. Obama, Farron, I have not seen before, and I thought they were trolling at first, but we're having a conversation now, so that's nice. I like conversations. That is a good term, Justin. Confirmation bias. If it's basically, okay, classic example of confirmation bias. One I talk about all the time, this ridiculous racist lie that was cooked up by conservative media and politicians that African crime gangs are out of control in Melbourne, to the point where Peter Dutton directly and deliberately lied and said people in Melbourne are too scared to go out at night. That was, he knew he was lying. It was a calculated lie. It was a lie designed to validate and inflame racists. Okay, that was the extreme end of it. But in terms of confirmation bias, there have been some very noticeable, disturbing events. Home invasions, carjackings, other crimes committed by youths of African descent. And there was one particular, and there's been a couple of fights, mostly blown out of proportion, but I think it was at Moomba a couple of years ago in the city. Some of the youths caused a whole bunch of trouble. Now, confirmation bias is saying, definitely African crime gangs are out of control, and then seeing individual crimes and going, that crime proves I'm right. When you look at the actual crime statistics, the majority of perpetrators are white guys. That's who you're most likely to be on the receiving end of crime from. But it's yeah, that's one good example of confirmation bias. I see who put it in there, Justin, climate denialism. You're right. A lot of the people who push the denying climate change bandwagon, they very much cherry pick data points and go, that proves my point. They'll ignore the 99% of data points that disprove what they're saying, and they'll latch on to isolated data points that are consistent with what they're saying. Go, that proves, oh my God, Farron, you're too involved and you missed your tram stop. That's a while. If it's only, it's a train stop. Dude, no, okay, damn. I've had that happen when I've been reading books. So immersed in them, I've missed my train stop, and that kind of sucks. Mitchell, you asked, how do you know it's fake news? First, I hate that term because it's the term propagated by the most notorious liar in the world today, Donald Trump, and he consistently uses it to describe factually accurate news. He consistently uses it to describe trustworthy news sources. So I have a very big problem with the term fake news being used at all. Now, second, so all media outlets fall down from time to time, some more often than others. One of the best bits of advice I ever saw, and this is more about when people share shit on social media, the first warning sign when you see a news story, the first warning sign is if you have a very strong reaction to it. If you're very strongly in favor of it, that's as bad as being very strongly opposed. So if you see a news story that immediately inflames you and makes you angry, like, that is so typical of those people. Oh, that's what all those lefties are like. That's what all those conservatives are like. That's what all those immigrants are like. That's what all those cops are like. If you have a strong, angry reaction to a story, that's a warning sign. What's a bit harder is if you have a strong positive reaction to it as well. If the story, if you have a really strong positive reaction, or a really strong negative reaction, the thing that's doing is playing to your own biases. And that's the warning sign. And it can be very hard because when you see something, you go, yep, that's exactly what I thought. That's the warning sign. And not just like when you see something and you go, oh, I didn't know that. No. But when you see something and you go, that is exactly what that's it. That's it. You need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Okay, and if you have that warning sign, then the second thing is, what's the source? Do I recognize the source? Is the source obviously from a partisan site? Okay, and then you go, okay, now you've got the magic of search engines. Do a search on that story. Is it reported by credible media outlets? You can sometimes go on, you find a story and find it, and you go, oh, wow, look, there's 20 different sources all running the same story. They are all running literally the same story. They copied it from each other, and none of them are credible. So the first sign is if you have a strong reaction, that's a really good warning sign. Second is, what's the source? Is it a reputable news source? And third is, are there other sources backing it up? Those are the simplest ways to check. Farrow, my stance on Jim Jeffries. What in particular are we talking about with Jim Jeffries? We're talking about when Little Abby got upset? Jim Jeffries is a comedy show. The idea of, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but this fucking ultra right-wing Zionist piece of shit who hangs out with Nazis, he got interviewed by Jim Jeffries, and I didn't even see the piece. I'm not watching the Jim Jeffries show. He said, he said, no, don't go up there, Mimsy. Don't do it. He said that Jim Jeffries selectively edited it, and the edits were deceiving. And I think he had someone else filming, which he thinks proved his point. But then for him to say, oh, more fake news, Jim Jeffries is not news. Jim Jeffries is a comedy show that's designed to take the piss out of people. Justin, what's a reputable source? ABC, BBC, next tier in Australia is probably SBS. Next tier in Australia is probably, Fairfax. I'm incredibly dubious of anything owned by Murdoch. In the US, while they have failings, you can broadly think the major media outlets are going to be more trustworthy than the small ones. Dr. Obama, The Guardian can be good, yes. IS misclassification, Reuters. I don't know Business Insider. Tendo, I didn't say the BBC are perfect because they're not. Neither is the ABC. But I'm just talking in terms of scale of trust. I mean, God, broadly, Al Jazeera is fairly trustworthy. They have their flaws like anyone else, but broadly, they're fairly trustworthy. Bury, are the Murdochs going to eat each other? Probably. What the fuck? He did a hatchet job. Jeffrey said the interview during drawing pictures of Muhammad and saying Chamberlain's dingo would have vomited if the baby was Muslim. See, again, I'm not a particular fan of Jim Jeffrey, so I hadn't been watching the show, so I don't know any of the details of them. Okay, Ms. Fox, sometimes the finance-oriented ones are good for impartial reporting. Just an NPR in the US. Yeah, that's right. Yes, Dr. Bar. Sky News is just blatant lies. Is just, and it's not just lies. They're dumb as shit. They say really stupid shit. Mitchell's the best. Look, again, I'm not trying to be news. I'm trying to be entertainment, and maybe point things to people. But I am going to, and of course, look, someone who's very conservative will point out that all the things I just said I trust, they're left wing. Well, I don't really think they are, but they're certainly more so than any Murdoch-owned media, which I think is just straight up evil. So look, okay, like the Australian can do good reporting, but they've descended into more and more partisan stuff. The Financial Review in Australia was again a market-oriented one, but their reporting has just become so biased. It used to be quite comparatively neutral, but capitalist reporting. And now it's just, since Murdoch gained control of it, it's just super biased. Dr. Obama, who from Sky would I hit with a car? I don't want a dent in my car, basically. But, oh my God, because I have Foxtel. He's been railing against Murdoch, and I have Foxtel. And all the news stuff was right down the back of the listings. Like you had to go through a whole bunch of screens to see any of the news channels. But recently they changed it to put Sky News on the front page of the TV listings. It's like in the first 10 channels. Oh my God. And just seeing the names on it, like if it was stuck back with the other things like CNN and Bloomberg and everything else, I wouldn't touch it. But they fucking put it front. So you're just seeing the names, flicking past it and just seeing the names Credlin, Bolt, and all the others. It's just like, oh my God, they're such fucking assholes. Yeah, that was another thing in favour of the Australian Financial Review misfoxification. It wasn't a broadsheet, so it was actually easier to read. Yeah, no, the Murdoch got more control over it. Things. Justin, you make a good point that Snopes is not a primary source, but Snopes always references where they're getting their evaluation from. Snopes just doesn't write, this is bullshit. They'll go and say, this appeared here, this appeared here, and if it's true, they go, this backs up that's true. And if it's a lie, they go, this backs up that it's a lie. So you're right that Snopes is not a primary source, but they always link to primary sources. They never just put opinion on and say, oh, we reckon this is bullshit. Oh, Belinda, I did hear that. I said in the shop, there was like, well, it wasn't a Starbucks coffee cup. It was a craft services coffee cup. But yeah, in the big banquet scene, there's a craft services coffee cup in the middle of the table that nobody noticed. None of the cast noticed it. The set dressers didn't notice it. The people shooting it didn't notice it. The editors didn't notice it. And then it went on TV and a viewer noticed it. Look what I got in the mail. This is one of these weird evangelical Christian magazines someone subscribed me to. The Real Truth. Do you ever, this is like a dictatorship calling themselves a democratic republic. Democratic Republic of North Korea, Democratic Republic of Congo. When a magazine calls themselves The Real Truth, I suspect they're very much not. I just want to look at what are the article headings in this one, because is God calling me? I don't know. Is he robo calling me? Because I ignore robo calls. Why migrants want to be in America? Because American foreign policy is fucking up their country. Sickness or good health? You decide. Millions find themselves sick and miserable. A close examination of the facts reveals that some choose to be unhealthy. Choose to be unhealthy. What about you? Wholesome foods. Well, this is an interesting point. Most of your diet, preferably over 60%, should consist of food in their natural, uncooked, or lightly cooked state. That's actually bullshit. That is absolutely bullshit. Raw vegetables and fruits are superior to those that are cooked. Wow, not true. That's bullshit fad talking. The simplest thing about how to be healthy, I love someone put it, the simplest advice is eat food, like real food, not processed food. Eat food, but don't eat too much, and most of it should be plant-based. So this 60% should be uncooked is fucking horseshit. Absolute horseshit. But 60% should be plant-based. It's not in my case, but it should be. That's 2. If possible, food should be whole, unrefined, and grown near your environment. It's just fucking platitudes. Oh, pure water, though rare, is vital to, again, that's drinking excessive. You've got to drink a fair bit of water, and I drink a lot of water, but that's another fad thing. Milk. Oh my God, this is awesome. This is awesome. Milk is an excellent food, but those who are lactose intolerant should consider avoiding it. Yeah, if it's gonna make you sick, if it's gonna make you stomach cramp, fart, and shit yourself, don't have it. Oh my God, then they've gone, raw milk is far superior to pasteurized and homogenized milk, except it kills you. It's superior, except it goes off and kills you. This is, wow, I did not expect this Christian magazine to be full of bullshit hippie crap. Number 5 is natural, raw, unprocessed honey is one of the best sweeteners available. Well, I wouldn't really argue for that. And then they've just made up the statistic. Most people who live to 100 or more had a lot of honey in their diet. They've just made that up. Another food staple is considered vegetable oil. Cold pressed vegetable oil. Use less oil if you can. Gee whistler, mostly plant-based, unhealthy. What the fuck are you talking about? Humans would be far healthier if the majority of their diet was plant-based. Megalich, too much water can kill it. Too much water can have the same effect as being drunk on alcohol. That's a really weird thing. And this has been documented in cases, and there's a proper medical term for it. The simple term is just water drunk. But it's where it's been seen to happen is when people had to have drug piss tests for their work, and just the concept of the drug test makes them too nervous to piss. And so someone says, keep drinking water, and they keep drinking water and they drink too much, and then they start acting like they're drunk, and then they pass up. Gee whistler, you're full of shit. You are absolutely, unequivocally full of shit. There is no credible medical dietitian in the world who says you should eat more meat than vegetables. You are simply, purely, 100% wrong. You're either really fucking stupid or a time-wasting troll cockhead, you know? Ad hominem's our argument. I'm not using it. See, this is the thing. And okay, fuckwit saying ad hominem. No. An ad hominem is you're a useless brain-dead cunt and therefore your argument is wrong. That isn't what I said. I said every medical authority in the world contradicts you. P.S. You're a cunt. See, there's the other ones. All these sad little fuckwits who've read one blog post about how to argue, how to debate, and logical fallacies, and they think they know everything. And you call them a cockhead, and they go, "It's ad hominem." No, ad hominem. I'm just calling you a dickhead. That's not an ad hominem attack. An ad hominem attack is saying you're a dickhead and therefore your argument is bad. And that isn't what I said. I said your argument is bad because every medical authority on the fucking planet says it's bad. Also, you're a dickhead. Two different things. It's like, but it's like they're these sad little boys, emotionally and intellectually stunted. And that's why Jordan Peterson's so fucking popular, because he makes stupid people feel smart. They go, oh, oh my God, Fiore channeling his inner Ben Shapiro. Here's the thing. I pay so little attention to those people. I see stuff that's in print, but I don't watch their videos. Hey, Gecko, how's it going? Like, Kev Logan subjects himself to fuck knows how many painful hours of their videos to fucking tear their arguments apart, which I just can't do it. I cannot do it. But in a recent one of Kev's where he talked about the right wing's response to the Christchurch terrorist attack, he had a whole bunch of them, and I learned two things. But I had I'd never heard that dickhead from InfoWars, Paul Joseph Watson's voice. I didn't know what his accent was, which was interesting. He's English. I didn't know he was English. He has an English accent. But Ben Shapiro was the one that cracked me up, because how does he not get punched in the head all the time? He's just so annoying. Like his voice, and I go, this is not, again, saying his arguments are bad because his voice is stupid and annoying would be an ad hominem attack. And you don't need to do an ad hominem attack on him because you can just tear his fucking arguments apart because they're so pathetic. But when I heard him talk, I just fucking cracked up. He talked to me like he's super nasal. He's super nasal. And it's just like, fucking hell. Oh, we all think, what do we think about? What do we think about Christopher Pine? That his voice is annoying. He's weird. Christopher Pine is super weird. Fiore, that's a perfect. I really like that definition of Shapiro with a white Mike Tyson voice, but he's more nasal than Mike Tyson. I was really surprised because his voice, no, Christopher Pine has a weird voice. He's a very weird guy. Yeah, Belinda, I think you're right. Pine picked that up in a private school. Yeah, Dr. Romeo, Pine and Downer with that faux British accent that people who go to private schools in Adelaide get. It's very weird. Justin, certainly a lot of Liberal Party politicians went to private schools. Dude, I mean, apropos of nothing, I'm going to share this with you. Mrs. Angry orders books off the British website, the Book Depository. It's a good website. They don't charge postage, but there's also some books that she can't get anywhere else for her work. And I've ordered books off the Book Depository, and when you get stuff home, they often will chuck in a bookmark with them. And Mrs. Angry got one in the mail yesterday, and I just think this bookmark is really cool. I love the design on this, Mary Shelley Frankenstein. It's very simple. I really like that. It was just sitting here. I thought I'd share it with you. Belinda, yes, when Downer dressed up to promote the Rocky Horror show and wore the fishnet stockings. Awesome. Justin, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Shorten went to private school. I'd say the majority of people in Parliament went to private schools. Yeah, Luke, is that how it works out? If you go to private school in Adelaide, you get that fake English accent, and if you go to public school, you become a bogan. It is really good, isn't it, Tendai? Yeah, a poster of that would be good. I quite like that. Not sure. But yeah, wasn't weird. Okay, I got distracted by that troll. The healthy eating. I was really surprised that a Christian magazine went for that stupid hippie bullshit. Gecko, I have not seen Ready Player One yet. This Faces of 2018. Okay. Fires. Stuck in Gaza. Oh yeah, isn't shit happening in Gaza? Protests. Storms. Imagining a unified Korea. Wasn't it funny? Korea, North Korea, how Kim played Trump for a chump. It's like Kim has lied to every foreign government who's ever said, hey, dude, you've got to stop this and stop that. And he's gone, yeah, sure, I'll stop that. I'll stop that, definitely. And Trump goes over there, breaks all the protocols. Oh, God, a US president is going to do. Trump goes, oh, we made a deal. And he doesn't do anything. Kim just fucking lies all the time. And Trump thinks he won't, but yeah. Sarah, hello. You're stuck at work. Want to say hello. Good to hear from you. Maybe I can help you pass the time at work. I don't know how much you're able to pay attention while you're at work. But yeah. Oh my God, look, I've made it halfway and I drank my lemonade. Maybe I should make a cocktail. It's halfway mark. I've visited Adelaide twice, maybe 3 times, because I've got a bunch of friends who live in Adelaide. Went there for a wedding once and went there for a YouTube thing once. Got some really rich friends in Adelaide, actually. Should go with that. Speaking about hanging out on yachts, yes. Although they have this really nice boat, right? It's a fairly simple one. You can probably only fit like half a dozen people on it. But you can see, like, they use it to get away from their kids. Like below decks, there's a bedroom with a double bed. There's a little kitchenette. There's a bathroom with a shower and whatnot. Like, it's fucking cool. It's fucking cool. And we did a little tour around and saw some dolphins, and then we had lunch at this marina. And the thing is, a lot of the people, like when they have their big boat, they have a dinghy to go off it too. And so, yeah, they're little. I don't know what the definition of a yacht is, but it was a really nice boat. And they had a little dinghy. And then when we pulled in to this marina to have lunch in what I think was a swank boat, there were some really expensive boats. There was one boat that was so fucking big. Their dinghy, their runabout, was as big as the boat we were on. It's like, holy fuck, how much did that cost? Yeah, people with money, eh? Justin, that's a great sentence. Siege is the stochastic white supremacist terrorism Bible. Wow. Sarah, you're hiding from the Pumpkin King in Montana. That's like we talked about this before, didn't we? Montana's a really nice part of the world. Justin, the disendorsed candidates, so many of them. So many of them. Like, there's more than a dozen. Most of them are from the Liberal and National parties, but there's a couple from Labor, and there's at least 1 or 2 from One Nation. There's like so many of them. It's really wild. What's that atmospheric schedule? We should buy Sakai aircraft because Boeing's crash, but the Sakai explode in the air and can still land. I don't know. Oh God! Literally just before coming on here, I watched one of those seconds from disaster about a plane crash that happened a few years ago. It was a flight from Heathrow to Belfast on like a brand new plane, and it crashed and they didn't know why, like its engines failed. And how could a new plane do that? And turned out to be pilot error. But anyway, coffee house, environmental coffee house. Hello. Hey, no, I'm going to make a cocktail. Farron, what did the Labor and Liberal candidates do? There's a mix. There's been a few made Islamophobic contents. There's a Labor dude shared weird anti-Semitic conspiracies. There's at least one Liberal who went for making homophobic contents about members of his own party. One Labor guy went because in the past he shared rape jokes. And there's a couple who are having problems just because after putting them in, they looked at them and said, oh, God, you're probably going to fail on the citizenship test. Shit. I'm not sure exactly where to find it, Farron, but if you search, you can probably find it, because I did see there was a list, and it was just like, you know, the One Nation guy that they found the video of him groping dancers in a strip club. Yeah, and different Liberal Party people said really racist or Islamophobic things. And yeah, it was super weird. This Labor guy had shared this absolutely bizarre anti-Semitic lizard people meme or something. And what else did they go for? Oh my God, there was one. But here's the thing. The majority of the people who were disendorsed were in seats. They're kind of like nobodies. They weren't expected to win. They're really fringe people who weren't that checked out. And so it's probably not that big a deal that they got disendorsed because they weren't expected to win. One, hilariously, a guy who's running for the Liberal Party in a really safe Labor seat. And the media said, what do you think of your opponent? And he literally said, I think he's a top bloke. Can't fault him. He's awesome. And the Liberal Party disendorsed him because he was too nice to his Labor opponent. That's just brilliant. That's just hilarious. So I saw, Dr. Obama, you mentioned someone taking a baby into the cinema. I have been in that. People can be really fucking rude. I remember trying that with my daughter when she was about 18 months old, and we thought she was going to behave, and she didn't, so we left. But people who act as if it's not a big deal that they have a crying baby in a cinema, that's really fucking rude. Justin, that Labor guy for the seat of Melbourne, he's only really young, and he did it like 4 or 5 years ago. But because I made a video about this, and I said at some point we're going to have to bite the bullet, because it's going to be borderline impossible to find candidates that you can't find dodgy shit in their social media history. It's all down to how they own it. There's the difference between that young Labor guy from the Melbourne seat. He owned it. He said, yes, I did that, and it was bad, and it was terrible, and I definitely don't agree with that. I wouldn't do that now. That was a bad thing I did in the past. And then that woman who's running for the Liberal Party in Tasmania, who'd done all these bigoted anti-Islamic posts, and she was going, well, I think they're fake. I think it was hackers. And it was just like, no, everyone fucking knows you did it, okay? The way you're hiding from the media, it's obvious you did it, and you're just fucking lying now. Yeah, at least that Labor guy owned it and said, yes, I did that. And it looked like he was going to hang on for a while, but then they were just like getting too much flack and said, no, you know, what? Shit. I just saw that, Charlie, your cousin's baby ruined your granddad's funeral and your dad was furious. Yes, I don't really get how people don't know if the baby's screaming, they should fucking leave. Baron, do I think we should go the other way and ignore people's social media? No, no. I think people should be responsible for their social media content. I just highlighting, I think there's a really big difference between someone who says, that is something I posted in the past, that's something I did in the past, that's not who I am now, I repudiate that, that is shit. I admit I was a shithead to have done it, but that's not me now. I think we need to face the fact that in the future we'll have to accept that, because you won't be able to get people like that. But someone who just lies and obfuscates, and no, fuck them. They're liars. Gecko, I've got your vote when you emigrate. Well, see, what I'm trying to think the absolute worst thing. I mean, okay, there are people who think that me calling people cunts is bad, and I shouldn't be in, public office because I said rude words and I'm aggressive and whatnot. Those people I say, oh, go fuck yourself. But you're talking about embarrassing things from the past. As I've said before on this, for my muck-up day, for my last day of high school, I dressed up as Hitler. We did this whole Nazi Germany thing, and I ran the assembly dressed up as Hitler, like, black clothes, painted on mustache, and swastika armbands. I don't think there are any. I might be really lucky. I don't think there are any photos of that. There could be, because people take a lot of photos on those days. But as people say, oh, why did you do that? Because I was an arsehole. I was really ignorant, didn't consider for a second the implications of it. Just, thought you're a teenager and you think it's funny if you do edgy things. That's why I try not to be too harsh on teenagers that do fucked up things, particularly if they're willing to go, oh, someone told me how fucked that was, and now I feel really bad because it was just a joke at the time. People have explained to me how that's not really funny to people for this reason. If you own it and go, oh, Jesus, I was just trying to make a joke. But if you're the sort of shithead who is unashamedly hateful, you should be held accountable for that. Baron, jokes are fine. You got to take responsibility. If you make jokes where you disparage people, well, first, you're probably a hack and not funny. But if you make jokes that are racist, homophobic, sexist, or whatever, you've got to stand by that. And particularly if you're running for a party, if the party is going to see that you've done that and said that, then they have to say, okay, what does it say about our party if we run a candidate who says that? Sarah, going back to work, thanks for stopping in and saying hi. Environmental Coffee House, you want to see the tech planet last long enough to see a technology improvement? Oh, talking about, yeah, okay. I see Miss Foxification talking about battery tech. Yeah, look, we are on the cusp of making major headway in solar and other renewables and batteries and whatnot, which could be good for us. But of course, we have problems with batteries. A lot of the newer technologies requiring the rare earth minerals, the sourcing of which has been very exploitative and environmentally damaging. Gecko, have I ever seriously considered running for some form of office? No, I wouldn't do that to my family, quite honestly. I think politics is fucking shit. I've got no problem with lobbying and communicating with people and trying to encourage people in certain directions. But actual politics is fucking shit. Mind you, the way the Senate works here, I could probably get in the Senate by being Mr. No Bullshit, call a spade a fucking shovel. Farron, I certainly can't go into public office if I dress up as a Nazi again. But yes, I was thinking, because I often do a cocktail in the second half of the thing, and I saw one because it was just Cinco de Mayo, which is weird. It's like the way non-Mexican Americans go on about Cinco de Mayo is the same way they go on about St. Patrick's Day, and coincidentally, both Mexicans and Irish people look at them and go, "Why the fuck are you carrying on so much? That date's not even that important to us." Farron, once as a kid is okay. I was going to do a milkshake. What I was going to do is a Cinco de Mayo cocktail, because I got this stuff I've been meaning to get for a while, chartreuse, which is kind of related to absinthe in that it's very strong and sort of herby. I saw someone do a Cinco de Mayo cocktail with this. Environmental Coffee House, thank you. We always have good fun in the chat. I like it. Almost everyone who comes into the chat. I'm trying to think, what did they call? I remember what's in it. It's tequila, chartreuse, and elderflower liqueur. Just find the name of it, what they called it, because it was a good name. Oh my god, this laptop is so slow. So fucking slow. Yes, pushing me. She headbutts me and she wants something. All right, gonna go for a walk, or are you gonna? Oh, she's gonna come and sit on my lap. That's okay. Oh my god, this laptop is so fucking slow. Get a new one. It's funny because I do cocktail type things, so Facebook is always recommending booze to me, and I wanted to find more about this drink chartreuse. So when this one popped up, oh, there's the Chartreuse Australia page. Okay, I wanted to know more about this anyway, so I will actually like this page, and because chartreuse was like reputed to be first made in 1605, so they've declared the 16th of the 5th to be Chartreuse Day, which is pretty good marketing, honestly. It's called the Yellow Jacket. I just found the name of this cocktail. I'm going to make a Yellow Jacket. Oh, well, Coffee House, I'm glad you're feeling chatty today. Good to have you in. You actually, Luke, you're absolutely right. My phone would have been faster. All right. Now Mimsy's standing on my... Go back on your podium. No, all right, go down there. All right, I need to get the pieces to make this. Okay, I'll grab my cocktail shaker. Oh, no, actually, I'm not going to do a cocktail shaker, but I do need... Oh, where is it? Okay. Because this is a stirred, not shaken drink. So I'll get a big block of ice, chill it. Alright, let me fill my glass. Oops, put this back in here. Where's the chartreuse? Chartreuse? Where is the chartreuse hiding? I'm not an alcoholic. It's just I have so much booze I can't find one specific bottle. That's Jameson. That's Aperol. That's Friday. I need this one. Down here? It is down. That's why I couldn't find it. It's down here. This chartreuse, green chartreuse. Oh, and my lemon juice in here. Yes, it is. I'll put a bit of lemon juice in it. Oh, okay. I think I left my glass over here. What did I do there? All right. I've been making flavored beverages again. Christened this one Dirty Tequila. It's sort of a grey colour. Dissolved some special rock candy in it to flavour it. So it's my Dirty Tequila. So the yellow jacket has tequila. Put that in. Just going to put 1 measure of tequila and just half measures of these chartreuse. And chartreuse is very strong. Half measure of chartreuse. Would Angry egg the PM? No, I wouldn't. I'm only sort of pro-egging for the real scum, like Fraser Anning. You know, Stephen Yaxley Lennon, who insists on calling himself Tommy Robinson. All right, so there's that. And I'm going to put a little splash of orange, not orange, lemon juice in there. Cocktails on Q&A, that would be good. Mitra saying another Tesla caught fire. Fire started by the battery. Yeah, Teslas are having a problem, aren't they? Coffee House, you want me as a guest? Look, I'm fairly good company. It's my very sophisticated way of stirring my drink. Oh God, yes, this is the thing that happened. Okay, so a young woman tried to egg Scott Morrison today, and she got crash tackled by his security, which seemed a bit over the top. But they knocked a little old lady over. She didn't seem hurt, but it just goes to show that extreme reaction is too much. Farron, well, agree to disagree about the egging. I think egging is a non-violent protest and is good at humiliating people. But I don't mind if you disagree on that. This is just opinion. That's not an absolute truth. It's opinion. Luke, what would that's a good, and I've thought about this. What would I do if I got egged? Probably depends on context. Like, it'd be pretty fucking rude if someone just egged me when I was walking down the street. I'm not doing anything. That's why I'm not really on board with egging Scott Morrison, because again, I don't think I'm doing anything to get egged. You know, Fraser Anning is preaching actual Nazi ideology and blaming the victims of a terrorist mass shooting for being killed. You know, he's fucking filth. Belinda, who throws a shoe? I remember that guy in Iraq throwing the shoes at George Bush. Now, I don't like George Bush. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if being US president gives you ninja powers, but George Bush dodged 2 shoes thrown at him. Right? And there's that one bit where Obama was getting interviewed once, and there's a fly annoying them, and he just did this, and he got the fly. So, but like George Bush, when he was getting shoes thrown at him and dodged them, I swear to God, if it was me, if I was standing there, someone threw a shoe, I'd be like, did he throw a shoe? Ow! Ow! Why did you do that? Ow! He would have got me both times. I was pretty impressed that, yeah, Bush Jr. dodged those 2 shoes, because I don't think I would have. Ooh, that's not bad. That's going to put hairs on your chest. This is like this hilarious thing. People saying, why are you drinking cocktails? That's such an unmasculine drink. And so, well, Jesus, that's pretty strong, in fact. Megaleech, someone should try Trump with a brick. Yeah, see, that's a bit antisocial, Megaleech. A bit antisocial. Howard had a through shown it. Okay, the funniest thing that happened with Howard that I remember, he used to do that power walking thing or jogging in his daggy fucking tracksuit with his security around him, and he's doing it around Lake Burley Griffin in Canberra, I think it was. Or maybe it was in Melbourne, I don't know. But anyway, he's out doing this thing, and some young bloke who was excited to see him ran up and hugged him, and like his security was so bad, this young guy was able to come right up and hug him. And what the guy didn't realize till afterwards, he had a fucking screwdriver in his hand. So he has lunged at the Prime Minister with a screwdriver in his hand, because he was just, I don't know, he liked John Howard. He was overcome and wanted to hug him. But he had a screwdriver in his hand. And holy fuck. The idea that John Howard's security was that bad that this guy could A, just hug him, but B, also with a wearing screwdriver. It looked like an attack, but anyway. Music Laver, you absolutely should not drink cocktails if you're uncomfortable with alcohol. I do not like people who try to coerce other people into drinking alcohol. All right, did I see clearing of demons from the White House? I missed that. That seems special, but I missed it. Mitchell, have I tried Mexican drinks? Which Mexican drinks are we talking about? I have tequila and mezcal here. What do you mean those Mexican soft drinks? Because I like them. Mexican soft drinks are good. Yes, Luke, the Hillsong Church is a bit crazy. All those evangelical mega churches are dodgy as hell. Justin, was it on Q&A that Howard had shoes thrown at? That actually sounds vaguely familiar. But yeah. Okay, what happened at Hillsong? I don't know. Scummo's been going there, or was going there until recently. Founder of Hillsong has been outed for sexual abuse, and they're covering it up, and Scummo's covering it up. Suffered airplanes have cocktails for drinks. If you're in first class, I think. Justin, did I see a photo of Rod and Gillard together? I didn't. Did they seem comfortable? Farron, is it wrong to be drinking Rioja out of a plastic martini glass? I don't think so. I don't actually know what Rioja is, but you drink what you want and out of whatever receptacle you want. I'm not going to judge. What is Rioja? Oh my God. If Trump's scheduled to come here in June, July, if Labor win, I don't think Trump will come. This Fox question, you want to see Australian politicians renounce religion? At least we stand a better chance of it. I mean, you know, we've had an atheist prime minister in Gillard. I think Shorten's Catholic. There's a lot of Catholics in the Labor Party. And I mean, you know, Morrison is with that fucking full-on bullshit, fucking happy clapping Hillsong shit. That shit's just, that's mental illness. That shit's dangerous. Rioja, Farron, is that an alcoholic beverage? I'm not familiar with it. Not that I'm familiar with everything in the world, but that one I'm not that familiar with. Or oh God, it's just started raining outside, I think. Awesome. Starting a new, that's another topic of conversation, starting a new job. Dr. Barmer, is Labor still the party of lawyers? I think they've got a lot of lawyers in there. You get a lot of people who've come through the trade union movement. Parliament generally seems to be full of lawyers and bankers. Belinda, yes, we do hope that the happy clapper will be not so happy on May 18th. Oh, it's a red wine. There you go, Farron. Thank you. It's a Spanish red wine. Sorry, I just saw you taking exception to Bill Shorten for being a Collingwood supporter. Yes, you are all right, Ms. Foxification. Australia is one of the most irreligious countries. Maybe I'm still thinking about starting my new job tomorrow. Oh, Justin's starting a new job too. Cool. Dr. Moore, yeah, well, the trade union movement is a fairly common pathway into Parliament for the Labor Party. It's really quite common. So, Michelle, have I heard of Bohemian Cove? No, I've heard of Bohemian Rhapsody. I have not heard of Bohemian Cove. Feel free to illuminate me. I was supposed to put bitters in this as well. Yeah, I've hardly drunk any of it. I wonder if bitters will make it taste different. Where's my bitters? Here it is. Just your old traditional Angostura bitters. Probably enough. Oh God, you know the weird clickbaity ads you get? I'm just looking at this particular page where the cocktail recipe was, and there's an ad after saying, 4 signs you're about to die of a heart attack. I don't want to read that. I don't want to read that at all. That's very, very unappealing. All right. I don't think that changed the taste very much. Environmental Coffee House. Is our media as propagandized as the US? Oh, look, I don't think it's as bad. It's not good. Not good at all. But, you know, and the same person's at fault. Rupert Murdoch, he's a fucking plague on humanity. He fucked up British media, American media, and Australian media. Yes, Farron, I'm not going to criticize anyone because I'm drinking tequila in my kitchen on a Tuesday. So, yeah. I should have done this last night, although I feel even weirder about having a drink on a Monday night. But I wasn't at work today, so yeah, and I am going to be at work tomorrow. So yeah. Dr. Bum, you've been volunteering for Get Up. You think Frydenberg has a chance? Yeah, no, Frydenberg is a chance of losing. He's one of the ones that gets a special drink if he loses. The big ones that I'll have a good laugh and a drink if they lose is Frydenberg, Abbott, Dutton. The top of my list is Dutton. Second, just behind him, is Abbott. And probably George Christensen in Queensland. I don't think he's that likely, but I think he's possible. Depends how things go. Farron, you want to guess my job? Go for it. Coffee House. I'm not surprised you don't want to watch US TV. It's in terms of the news reporting and the yoga therapy practitioner. Oh my God, that's like so far away from me. Yes, Gecko, I start a new job tomorrow. Greg Hunt, Tim Wilson. Tim Wilson actually represents where I live, and he's a smug prick, and Labor have never won this seat, so it'd be a special drink if Tim Price. Not so much because I hate Tim Wilson, one of the other ones I hate them, but just because Labor have never won this seat, and Tim Wilson is a smug prick. Greg Hunt, look, every one of them that goes is good. Greg Hunt's not a big particular celebration for me, neither is Melissa Price. I can't have a drink for everyone that loses their seat or I will die from alcohol poisoning. I've got to sort of temper it a little. Adele coming in late. You're absolutely right, Justin. Tim Wilson is an IPA stooge, although I have to admit, when I first read that, I thought you were talking about the beer. But yes, no, I fucking hate the IPA. Yeah, Farron, I'm very inactive. Even a yoga therapy practitioner is far too active for me. Yeah, so you missed Fox. I won't be able to get carried away. I will be excited if Abbott loses. No, I'm not taking multiple drinks for anyone. Because like, even if it's the thing, I don't. People like see all things. You must be drunk all the time. No, I use little bits. Those last forever. It's always, look at all the videos. It's always the same bottles up there. Because there's just little bits in drinks, and usually in a couple of days a week. I've always thought those things about, I'm going to be dry for a month. So I thought they were dumb, but I've been thinking of doing that, just not drinking any alcohol at all for a month, to see if I feel different, to see if I think my brain is gooder. No, I'm not a bus driver, Farron. Though I sit down almost as much as a bus driver. Del, you moving to Chris Pine's old street? Yeah, well, see, that's the two weirdest things, I think, for Liberal Party voters in the lead up to this election. Like, they lost six front benches resigned in the lead up. So 6 seats have someone running that the people in those seats have never heard of. And then the other thing they had is they've lost, like, of the candidates who were named to be in the election, they've lost a dozen of them. A dozen of them have been disendorsed or resigned or withdrawn or whatever. So that's got to be weird for Liberal Party voters, that level of change. Farron, now you're on the right track. I'm not a web developer, but I do work in IT. There you go, Coffee House. You're going to say some kind of IT. Yes, I do, in fact, work in IT. Safa, will Clive get in? Fuck knows. He's just a sad, sad clown. I don't want him or his party to win any seats because it's the most bizarre, fucking egotistical bullshit. But I have no idea what's going to happen with Palmer. It's too fucking weird. I don't know. Oh my God, Adele, you're saying even Liberal voters think Pine's replacement's too far to the right. Wow, okay, Christ. Justin, you used to live in Tim Wilson's seat. Well, I live in Tim Wilson's seat now. Moved here a couple years ago. 2 years ago. So literally, I get in trouble. Mrs. Angry berates me for saying couple when I mean a few. For me, 3 or 4 is a couple. Yeah, now technically, obviously, a couple is a coupling, it's 2. But in just colloquializing, saying, oh, it was a couple of years ago, I don't literally mean 2 years, or I'd say 2 years. I'm not sure how many, somewhere between 1 and 4. And I say couple. I mean, technically, she has a point that, couple has me, but it's just it. Yes. So who's going to be the new fixer? For those who don't know, there is this bizarre interview with Christopher Pyne when shit was going on with the Liberal Party, and interviewer says, what are you going to do about it? He goes, I fixed it. I'm a fixer. And it's just like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You are so fucking strange. Dude, he's so strange. Dr. Obama, you pre-poll volunteered for Labor. Palmer candidate was there. She was trying to get the Liberal guy to volunteer for it. That sounds really bizarre. That sounds really bizarre. I mean, it's the weird thing is that because Palmer is standing candidates in every seat, I think, and so he's ended up with a real fucking motley crew. Um, very, very, and so he goes around saying stupid shit because he's running candidates in every seat that he thinks he can win government, and obviously he doesn't really think that, but he just says the dumbest shit. I just remembered something I saw, and I'm going to see if I can find the story. Yeah, okay. Do a search on the Buff One Nation candidate. There's this dude who was he's running for One Nation in Western Australia, and he's like super buff, and he's got long hair. Like people saying he looks like Thor because he's super buff with this long blondie hair. And he's posted like near nude photos on Instagram. It's really fucking funny. Hey, fucking more power to him. He's done the gym workout and he wants to show it off. Maybe roided up, I don't know. But it is pretty funny to have a super buff dude running for the Conservative Racist Party, and he posts near nude photos on the internet. This is oh, I got this bloody fly. This is a special election. Is Durack the biggest electorate in Australia? I don't know, Mitchell. I'm not that up on it. This foxification then with people protest voting and voting for scumbags, the Russian term's useful idiot. Yeah. Oh, Adele, you enjoy Met Gala photos more. Yeah, they're pretty amazing, the Met Gala photos. Yes, if you do the search on Buff One Nation candidate, the Daily Mail thing has the near nude photo. I saw it on Twitter earlier. Someone's going, "Oh my god, check this guy out." Yeah, okay, buddy. Yeah, another. I've seen people use the term "useful idiot" slightly differently. And I mean, because people often use terminology in slightly different ways. And I've often seen people refer to someone being a useful idiot when that person maybe has a profile and they're using that person to promote their cause, and they don't actually like the person, or they possibly even hate the person, but they see some gain in using the person, and so they call them a useful idiot. It's like they really hate them, but they think they can exploit them for their own ends. They call them a useful idiot. Justin, who do you put ahead on the ballot, Liberals or Palmer? I'd put the Liberals ahead of Palmer. Palmer's just a fuckwit and a wage thief who needs to go away. Is just, I mean, how pathetic do you have to be to want to imitate Donald Trump and to put ads of yourself everywhere with a really, really heavily photoshopped image of yourself. It's just like, it's pathetic, absolutely pathetic. Palmer needs to be put back in his fucking box. Suffer, are the Nationals useless? I think so. I think the Nationals are going to suffer some real hurt from independent Conservatives in country seats when people realise, hey, the Nationals don't actually do a goddamn thing for us. They just always toe the Liberal Party line. And I think the Nationals are going to suffer some losses to independent Conservatives in country seats. I think there's going to be a fuck ton of people on the crossbench. I think Labor will have a majority, possibly a quite convincing one. Yeah, Mimsy's just out of shot. There she is. I think she's just in shot now. But she's been very demanding. Yeah, Gecko, Jar Jar Binks is a perfect example of a useful idiot. Used to advance Palpatine's model. I like that, Justin. That's dedication. Voting below the line, reverse the party tickets just to fuck with them. I have to admit, I've done that too. So I'm completely on board with you doing that. Anyway, this one, Mimsy, where is she? Yeah, there she is. Was sitting on my. See, I don't feed the cats because they get really demanding. So Mrs. Angry feeds them, and so they always harass her to get fed. And I joke that, you know, they just see her as food lady. And I was like sitting on the lounge watching some TV, and Mimsy was sitting on my lap, and she was really happy to be sitting on my lap, getting spoiled and whatnot. And then there was the noise at the front door of Mrs. Angry coming home, and at that first bit of noise, Mimsy leapt up and ran to the door and just saying, "Wow, wow, wow!" Yep, you were really happy to be sitting comfortably and getting pats until Food Lady got home. Then you're going to go and harass Food Lady for some food. Oh, like Dr. Bummy spoke to the Palmer candidate pre-poll. Most of the candidates, no, they've got a real motley bunch. There is every single one of them apparently recorded a video with this same script, and almost all of them clearly had never done anything to camera before. And I don't hold that against them, but it's just funny. And I did see someone had collected a bunch of them, and they're really fucking embarrassing. And of course, because they're reading the same script, you can put them all on a little grid and have them chanting in unison, which makes it really weird. Sorry, Belinda, you've been asking how's Aidsy. I have not heard from him for a couple of days, but he did get out of hospital, so that's a big plus. Then I haven't heard of him, so I don't know if they've just given him a good old pile of prescription drugs to hold the pain at bay, which is keeping him really happy and semi-comatose. I don't know. Yeah, okay. Is Dutton too scared to come to Melbourne? I will be fucking getting a milkshake if Dutton comes to town. I think, though, I'm definitely going to do that at the next fucking right-wing bullshit. I'm going to get a Yard t-shirt and a milkshake, and just stare at them. I'm not going to do anything. I got my milkshake, and I'm just going to, and my Yard t-shirt. I'm just going to stare at them. Adele, did his cellulitis clear up? No, it got really bad and awful and gross and infected, and they drained all sorts of fucked up shit out of his legs. His legs are really fucked up. They drained all this gross shit out of him. Yeah, Yes, it's not good. Dr. Mum, well, they hate yard trips. Yard has got into their head. They've decided Yard is a scary, extreme left-wing organisation. It's one dude. It's one dude who came up with the idea, and then a few of his friends have gone, yeah, and they'll come along to one of these right-wing bits of fuckery, and they will yell at the racist dogs. But they've come, apparently in their little forums, they all talk about yard, yard. So if you wear a yard t-shirt, they get really fucked up. Well, Adele, AZ keeps beating worst case scenarios. It's absolutely astonishing. I mean, most notably, when he got the necrotizing fasciitis, which has a higher fatality rate than Ebola, and all the medical staff in the Royal Melbourne Hospital were all over him because none of them had ever seen this condition in a living patient because it kills you so fast. Almost no one who has it makes it to hospital. They die. Like they're okay, and then 24 hours later they're dead. And so he was the center of attention because it was their first opportunity to see it and treat it in a live patient. Baron, well, look, dude, I think, you know, maybe you were a bit antsy at each other at the start, but I really appreciated being able to talk to you. So he defied the odds, something that had an over 95% fatality rate, and he didn't die. And then the last Nazi one, like when all his teeth rotted, and I know the right wingers were making fun of him being a, you know, toothless skin, but it's because he had basically a cancerous infection in his jaw. Farron, you're not the only one who found me through bearing videos, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, so he had this cancerous infection in his jaw that was killing his teeth, and they've since all been ripped off, and he's got these beautiful false choppers now. But yeah, the worst case scenario with this infection in his jaw was they would have to actually remove the jawbone. So he would never have been able to talk again, like that film critic dude who got his jaw removed because of cancer. But that didn't happen. They did actually grind down bits of the bone, and they took all his teeth out, and he's got these beautiful force, and he didn't lose jaw. Now this recent one with his cellulitis and other gross infections in his leg, and he was in hospital for 3-4 weeks, which is not good. The worst case scenario with that was amputation of both legs. And when I say worst case scenarios, I was not saying 100-to-1 shots. I was saying disturbingly likely outcomes. And he got out of hospital. They didn't chop his legs off. So, I mean, fuck. That guy's ability to beat these worst case scenarios is absolutely amazing. And those who've seen AZ, and where did his name come from? Okay, Dr. Mum, because we were at uni basically, and that's how I know AZ, because we did the same course at university. And we were at university at the height of the AIDS crisis. His name is Adrian. And basically, in the AIDS crisis, late 80s, early 90s, anyone with the name Adrian was cursed to be called AIDS unless you took control of it. Like the comedian Adrian Edmondson made a point of saying his name was Ade, A-D-E. He was Ade Edmondson. So no one would call him AIDS Edmondson. He said, no, I'm Ade Edmondson. And again, AIDSy took control of it and said, we realized what was happening. He said, call me AIDSy. And so then no one would say AIDS, but it still kind of sounds AIDSy, doesn't it? But yeah, no, that's the source of it. It's because if your name was Adrian in the 80s through the 90s, you were doomed to be called AIDS unless you took control of it and said, no, call me this. And yeah, it's really, he declared he would be known as AIDSy. So that's it. Oh, Adele, he is in permanent, awful pain. So yes, he's in. It's kind of like I've talked about, because sometimes I don't do this on a Tuesday because I keep having physio appointments on Tuesday nights, because a local physio who does some after hours appointments, he does them on Tuesdays. So I've been going on Tuesday nights. So sometimes won't do one live stream. For instance, next week I have a physio appointment on Tuesday, and so I won't be live on Tuesday. I might do the live stream on Monday. We'll see how I feel. But like my knees, in the last year, I've had physio on this shoulder and my knees. My shoulder, I fucked up by sleeping. That's when people say, "How old are you?" I am old to the extent I can injure myself sleeping. And I mean, at its worst, and the worst was early last year, the pain was so bad I couldn't sleep. I was in agony and I couldn't go to sleep because of the pain. I should have gone to the physio about 6 months earlier than I did, but I'm a dude, I'm a bloke, and I'll just go, no, it'll just get better. And it didn't get better, it's getting worse, and I realized I couldn't function. So I went to physio, which helped a lot, although it's still kind of fucked. And then my knees got fucked. What did I do to fuck my knees? Literally nothing. My knees just decided they were fucked. And like I couldn't even sit down and stand up without being in extreme pain. But again, I had some physio treatment and they got better. They're playing up a bit at the moment. I found out today. I was with my daughter. We'd been in a cafe and we saw a tram coming that we wanted to get home on. And said, shall we run to the tram? And she said, yep, ran. And then I tried to run over it and I go, oh, my knees don't want me to. So I did this really bizarre, embarrassing shuffle run because my knees were like, no, fuck you, we're not doing that. So my knees are a bit fucked at the moment. Gecko, I'm too old for this shit supercut. Made most famous by the Lethal Weapon movies. Whether you should buy a lotto ticket. I tell you what, he's interesting because those who've paid attention when AT's been on live streams, he's talked about, beliefs and whatnot. And well, he's part of this group that believe in and practice chaos magic. Some might call it dark magic. And he's had, when he's been really sick in the past, these odd-looking guys dressed all in black around his hospital bed, sort of holding hands and with their eyes closed. Yeah, and so someone who's part of that whole scene actually said to him once, like, oh, you're part of this and you think you should be able to change things and whatnot. I reckon it's not working, because you keep getting these really bad illnesses. If this stuff really worked, you wouldn't get sick. And he said, well, that's one way of looking at it. The other way of looking at it is I contracted something that has an over 95% fatality rate. None of the medical staff have ever seen it in a live patient, and I survived. I suffered this other terrible crippling thing and I survived. So the glass half full thing is, oh, you got sick. The glass half full thing is, I got better. So depends on your outlook, really. How positive are you going to be? But that brings us up to 10 o'clock-ish. Safa, do I feel the cold much? I guess I do. Kind of like when it gets cold, because sartorially, my weakness is coats, jackets, overcoats, trench coats. I love big coats. I've got a bunch of them. When it gets cold, I get to wear my big coats. So as we now start to get into the cold weather here in Melbourne, although today was fairly nice, but yeah, I'll be cracking out my winter coats because yeah, I just like a big coat. So I have a few of them. So, look, I am going to bid you fine people farewell, and thank you one and all for, as usual, being a great group of people to spend time with. You're not really an audience, we're interacting. On a pre-recorded video, it's an audience, but this is more like hanging out. So, Dr. Brown, I'm heading off too. All you fine people, look after yourselves because you are all fine people. I hope to see you again soon. I have actually already recorded a Wank Fat Wednesday video to put up tomorrow. So I just thought, first day in a new job, I don't know, I might not be in the mood to do it afterwards. And I had time today, so I did it today. So that will be live tomorrow, and I'll probably do another live stream on Thursday. And as Miss Foxification says, if you want to do the thumbs up before you go, say fuck you trolls, we like it. That's great. But yes, so there'll be a Wanker Fat Wednesday video tomorrow. All things being equal, I'll do another live stream on Thursday. Mimsy wants to say good night too. Then we'll see if I can be organized enough to have the TFU video live on Friday, or if I'll be a bit slack and it'll be up sometime on the weekend. But we'll see. We'll see. But you're all awesome. Thank you very much for spending time with me. I will bid you all farewell, and I will say bye for now.